Welcome to Grace Notes, the weekly community affairs show with Town of Yorktown Supervisor Michael Grace. Easy for me to say. I'm your host, Bruce Apar of Chase Media Group, and we always start off the show talking a little bit about what's up and coming, although there's not a lot going on in the next couple of weeks. There is Saturday, February 23 at Jefferson Valley Mall, a book blast. So if you have young children, you'll definitely want to check that out. And then coming up, which we'll talk more about on the next show, the first Friday of every month, the Yorktown Teen Center, which does a great job in a lot of different areas with the youth in our community, has their monthly open mic cafe, which is the first Friday of every month. You can check all of the events on the town calendar at yorktownny.org. And I know, Supervisor, you wanted to comment a little bit on some of the things going on around town this past President's Day, right, with some of the town services.
Actually, I'm going to just mention that, bring up the Teen Center open mic night.
Yeah.
Just met with Barry Liebman over from the Yorktown stage.
Right.
And he's in that unenviable position of having to renew his lease now. So
right. Yeah, he mentioned that to me, yeah.
But we're looking at it, and we talked about this notion of creating Arts Council for Yorktown.
Yeah, right, part of United.
Right,
yeah.
And so he was very receptive to the idea. And one of the things we start to look at, I think, is it kind of came up. I guess I can bring it up because we'll be pursuing the idea. Is to actually start to use the theater for movies. So we're looking, and what they would be is essentially, as long as we don't charge for the movie,
right?
You don't have to have a
public performance issue. Right.
And so we're looking to maybe start to. The idea would be to get that theater venue move every weekend, have something going on. So maybe we can get some, old and or maybe even somewhat current free movies at Yorktown Stage. So hopefully that in the future, when everybody will be saying, "Yeah, what's going on in Yorktown this weekend?" There's always be something going on in the stage. So we're hopeful to move that along, and with some of the people that are very involved with the teens at the open mic, which is Tom Ianacari,
Tom Ianacari,
and Mr. Veach, and then hopefully even I guess Chris Sierra and some other people, and
Chris Sierra is now representing some talent, and then even Alliance for Safe Kids has a what do they call it, a talent night, or I think it's talent night. So there's a lot of different ways that you can use Yorktown Stage.
Yeah, so we're thinking of trying to do that in conjunction with some of the restaurants as well.
Right.
So that will be hopefully it starts to take some get some traction and move ahead. But a lot of folks out there had President's Day off, which actually, as town supervisor, even surprised me that town hall was closed. I showed up, but nobody else was there.
Nobody told you you had the day off. Huh?
And what also happened, unfortunately, was that everybody has been used to not having their when the town hall is closed, not to have their garbage picked up on that day, and they roll over the day for garbage pickup.
Right.
But this year around, what's happening is that the holiday schedule is following both the transfer stations, where the transfer station is open and where the garbage plant is open. So the transfer station was closed because that's in the town of Cortland. So that they were off. So the recyclables, if you were having recyclables picked up on Monday, you weren't getting your recyclables picked up because otherwise they picked them up, they had no place to put them.
Right.
So because the transfer station was closed, the garbage plant was open. So garbage was being picked up on Monday. And unfortunately, when I did look at the notice that went out to the residents, it's very confusing as to whether you were getting your garbage picked up on Monday or not.
Right.
But you were getting your garbage picked up on Monday. But most people that thought they usually get the garbage picked up on Monday figured it was going to be Tuesday because Monday was a holiday. So people put their garbage out on Tuesday. And from Tuesday morning until probably just about an hour ago, I've been getting phone calls about people not having their garbage picked up. It's a unfortunate miscommunication. And hopefully by next week it'll be forgotten. But to all those out there that are still looking at their garbage at their curbside, my apologies. It will get picked up. Other than that, I think this guy's been off to a very good start.
Yes.
Although people are very passionate about their garbage. So tempers did flare, and some people were very upset. But to I apologize on behalf of the town, and hopefully, again,
Right.
by next week, we'll be on to another topic.
Right. I was going to say, by next week, there'll be no more trash talk, okay?
We think Brian's doing a good job.
Right.
Yeah.
And we
No.
should now introduce our guests, so people aren't wondering who's sitting at the table. And so we welcome to Grace Notes Paula Miritello of My Brother Vinny. And, of course, everybody knows
Chief.
Fire Commissioner and past Fire Chief Martin McGannon. Oh, wow.
And we have an audience tonight.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, we have a live studio. Well, we're not live, but the studio audience is live. That's for sure. So thanks for coming.
And
Thanks for being
who do
here.
we have?
We have Samantha DePaulo, and Samantha is the assistant director for My Brother Vinny. And then we have Sean DeLong, and she's a manager of Jamboree,
Oh,
playing music in Jefferson Valley, and her son Austin.
oh, great. Welcome.
Austin, your name? I like that name.
Yeah.
Nice name.
Very nice
And then you
name.
have Katie.
Where's Austin? What's the any significance in the name, or you just liked it?
Big sister actually picked it out.
Oh, good. What's the middle name? He's even better, but no, I like it. But good.
Western Powers, right?
Yeah.
And then we have Kenny Beck in the back hiding.
And so, Kenny, is he part of My Brother Vinny? Or?
Yes.
Oh, great. And so how many people do you have?
Well, we have a very strong volunteer base. Our volunteer base, when we counted, we could probably say we have 50 active people.
Wow.
Our volunteer base is huge, that we can call at any moment from different programs we work with. Kenny is part of My Brother Vinny, Samantha, Sean, we all coordinate with different groups. Martin helps with the fire department.
Right.
We're a very huge Yorktown network.
No, Marty helps everybody. That's,
Yeah,
no, you
It's been
do.
a big
You
role.
do. It's great. Yeah.
We should really start off with the significance of the name of the charity.
My Brother Vinny is a charity dedicated to memory of my brother Vincent. Vincent passed away in 2000. Vincent had cerebral palsy, and we were lifelong residents of Yorktown. Vinny went to the Pinesbridge schools in Yorktown, and after Vincent passed away, I was lost, and I felt like I needed to work with a community that honored my brother. So I started volunteering, job coaching. I started doing Special Olympics, where I would job coach the mentally ill, and then I started doing like skills activities and going to all the tournaments. And then it started morphing into different activities for Vincent. When Vincent passed away, I was absolutely devastated, and I wanted to be part of something that kept his memory alive. And then I formed my own walker. Whenever I spoke about Vinny, I would say My Brother Vinny. Or people would ask about him. I'd say, oh, my brother Vinny did this. Or we always said My Brother Vinny and my cousin so-and-so. And then when I had my first walkathon team, I said, let me call it My Brother Vinny, because that's what everybody knew him as. And then we started getting bigger and bigger, where I started out with like 15 friends. Next year, I had 30 friends show up. I had 100 friends show up in my walkathon team, and then we pretty much took it over. And then I was in a bad car accident a couple of years ago, where at that point I was in a wheelchair myself when I had broke my pelvis. And I got to the point where you have a brother that never walked his whole entire life, and he was profoundly disabled, where he needed us to advocate for him. And then you have his disability, and then you're left in a wheelchair yourself, thinking that you understood this community, but you didn't know it until you couldn't walk yourself.
Right.
I said to him, I'm like, all this time I was volunteering Special Olympics and doing everything, but yet I'm in a wheelchair myself, and how it's such a different thing when you actually sit in the chair and you understand it to a whole different level. So I think my brother's memory will always be alive, and people know him now, because I adored him, and I wanted everybody to know how beautiful he was.
Is he older, younger? Or?
Vinny was the baby of the family, the six of us.
Oh, wow.
Vinny was 20 years old, and all of us grew up knowing that if anything happened to my parents, Vinny would be our baby. Like, we were all like his guardians, and like whoever we met over life, we always felt Vinny would come with us. And I was proud of it. I adored him. We would take him in the swimming pool. He understood like a toddler. He couldn't walk or talk, but yet he knew, like, give me hugs, give me kisses. If he saw friends, he would like grab the coffee out of your hand or grab the donut. He was very playful. And then when he passed away from gallstones that were like undiagnosed because Vinny couldn't speak, and we would bring him back and forth into the hospital, and no one knew what was wrong with him. And I kept saying, like, I don't understand how he couldn't speak and he had it so difficult, but able-bodied people had it so much easier. And it was very hard for me to see. That's why Mohegan Park is a very special part of my life, because people see them having their mental illness and people don't go talk to them. Yeah. We're in all the time. They're like our friends. We come in, they're like, Vinny's here. They give us hugs and kisses. And I'm like, I want people to know that just because someone's different doesn't mean, why are we considered normal? Like, I don't get that. Mm-hmm. Like, why do we feel we're so different than people that have mental disabilities or they're mentally ill? And I think they're actually even more beautiful than what they consider normal, because they have such a gift. I think when
Yeah,
you,
it's funny. You know, as a personal injury lawyer, I represent a lot of people that are in that. You know, and it's. I always find it pretty amazing. It's. You know, you as a lawyer, you deal with a lot of tragic situations. You know, there's a lot of not so tragic situations, but sometimes you do very tragic situations. But it always, you know, it seems like the bigger the tragedy, the silver lining in it and dealing with these people is that you understand the human resolve and the spirit, because that comes out it's because I've dealt with clients that have had profoundly disabled children from birth usually, and you know maybe forms of quadriplegia and you know, spastic quadriplegia, can't talk, but the kids are just you know they're really. It's always it's what's always remarkable about what comes through is that there is like you allude to, this is the spirit and the soul of that person really is almost emphasized through the disability in some very odd way, and so you you would think that the families would be devastated by dealing with such, you know, sometimes it's really disabled kid, and actually, it's remarkable.
No, it's the
quite
opposite.
different.
Yeah, it's
we
the opposite.
adored him.
Well, I can relate to it too.
Yeah.
Same
It's
thing.
true,
yeah,
right?
right.
When Vinny passed away, everybody would say that. I remember people saying to us, they're like, "Oh, you know, he's in a better place." I'm like, "How could you possibly say that?" When my brother was so loved by us, he was the baby of the family. We would take him to the swimming pool. Like, how do you say something like that to even think that? How could you even say that he's in a better place? When how do you know he was laughing every day?
Right.
He had family. He was happy. Who do you judge his happiness?
Right.
So he was.
No,
he
it's
was
really,
beautiful.
it is. I mean, you know, to the degree that it does happen, that you know, the severely disabled are kind of cast aside, is really kind of a tragic thing, because they have the ability to draw out really what is the absolute best in all of us, and you know, which is charity and understanding, compassion, empathy, and all those other things. So it's. You know, it is. I deal with it quite a bit with the severe, you know, disability cases. That you know, you really you try to make sense out of these sometimes tragic situations when somebody's very healthy and ends up in that position, or somebody that starts off like that way, and you know, it's very you know, to make sense of it. But I always think that the grace that comes out of those things is just right.
That's what it is. Well, I have which my son had dwarfism.
Well, I know I had
He
seen
passed
it,
away 10
Harrison.
years ago.
Yeah.
But you know, you're an example, Paula, of something I say, and what the supervisor's talking about is that, you know, not only are they special, but they make those people around them better people, right?
Thank you.
It's,
And
right, made you a better person.
Even
right?
as a little child, when I would look at Vinny, I was like, he was my baby. My parents always taught us to protect him and watch him.
Right.
And like, I brought him everywhere. He was like, I don't have children. He was like the baby that we all took forward. He was our
But
child.
you learned from them.
Absolutely.
You absolutely learned from them. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, and it's funny. You know, I you know, and I've seen my clients from you know grow up, and you know, clients that had a son that wasn't severely disabled, but was disabled, and I always thought, you know, you know, you always have them. You know, it's kind of an odd thing. You say, you know, because you love your kids, you know. And you know, they eventually, Austin, grow older. You become teenagers.
Right. Right.
He was the baby. We always said, where's the baby? He was 15, 16, 17, because he was the baby of the family. He was always like the baby. Yeah.
So you. Well, I also wanted to point out. You know, you did that. You organized that vigil.
Right, for the Sandy.
For Sandy.
Hook.
Sandy. Yeah. Point. What was Sandy Hook? I mean, I'm sorry. I got this Breezy Point, Sandy Hook. And so you're doing a lot of things. I mean, all of a sudden, in the last few months, I know you've been extremely active with all of the charity work and events and fundraising. And so maybe you can talk about that.
Well, we had the walkathon. That was the spring thing I always did for Vinny. And I tried to do things that are based on things Vinny loved. Like, Vinny loved to eat. So I said, I'll have a food and coat drive, because I wanted to do things that were based on, like, things Vinny loved. Like, we have the cupcake decorating. Vinny loved that. So everything incorporated a part of Vinny's life. And then the Sandy Hook Elementary School thing, one of my closest friends who does like the artwork for the walkathon, she does like my logo, her son went to the elementary school. And a lot of my alumni is very involved in the charity, so I felt at that point that we wanted to honor them and to do something with our town. I figured Yorktown was the best place, and plus I didn't want people showing up in their town. you were seeing people go by the truckloads into their town. I said, let's just do it here
Right,
and honor
right.
them instead of having people. It's kind of like I thought it would be nice just doing our own community because Yorktown's so warm, and we had the holiday parade, which was fantastic, and I felt it was a nice show of support from our own town to do it for Sherry and all them. And then we ended up. I never had a vigil before. I never did anything like that, so I figured it was easy to get Martin involved. And then once Martin got involved, I figured we worked so close together, Martin and I in the fire department.
Yep.
Yeah.
So once I knew I had Martin's support and everything, it was just worked out.
No, it was a very moving event.
Yeah, and you're right about Yorktown being just a great place to have these things because there is a lot of that spirit in this town, and to the degree you can that you can keep it alive and stoked, it's absolutely a great thing. Now, you were at Mohegan.
Mohegan Park for Valentine's.
Right.
Yeah, we actually had two programs. Your wife Lisa joined us. Samantha was there and Sean, and we did earlier in the day. We did the Head Start. I had written the pajama program, which is a national program, and they had sent us 50 pajamas and books for the kids at the Head Start. And the Jamboree playing music, the kids decorated the bags for us. And then we did that in the morning, and then afterwards we did Mohegan Park, where we gave them all pairs of pajamas. Someone from high school had custom chocolates made for all 146 residents at the moment. And it was a really nice day.
Wow.
Mohegan Park, I love. I absolutely love seeing them. Every time I walk in, do you have shoes for me? We bring them shoes, we bring them clothing. I went and brought someone a jacket this afternoon, and they wanted me to stay. I'm like, no, I'm going to be on TV later. I have to go. So Sam, we're going back on Saturday to visit them because they want shoes. Yeah, so we go a lot. It's wonderful. I truly love it.
And you hold down a full-time job. Right?
Yeah, no, I have a full-time job, and everything's volunteer. Thank God I have a wonderful boyfriend because we're 24/7. But I love it, and it's so important to me. I would rather do this than anything. I think it's very important to keep my brother. My brother's not gone now. It's like I feel like he's always with me, and he'll always have a legacy, and people will know. I figure he didn't speak, and he didn't walk, so now he has all this charity work, and he has a walkathon. And for someone that didn't walk to have a walkathon in his memory, I think is good.
That is right, yeah.
I think
Very
it's really
nice, yeah.
important. So.
Talking about someone that doesn't speak, what's the matter with this guy?
I know. I'm like.
I learned a long time ago never to interrupt. Never interrupt a woman talking. No, we were there always to help Paula, and I've known Paula Miritello. I went to school and grew up with her brother, one of her brothers.
Yeah, you guys are all you're pretty much in the same neighborhood, right? Or
Yeah.
You're pretty
Right
close,
around
yeah.
Our family's best friends with his brother Dennis also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh, okay.
the fire department got involved through Paula's boyfriend. And
Kenny.
when one of the walkathons they had up in FDR, they asked for the fire truck. Going back quite a few years ago, we brought a fire truck up for the young kids to go and look at and
Right.
climb on, the typical. And then from there, it's just like Paula said, it dwarfed into we're there to whenever she needs help. We were there. The guys in the firehouse are always there, whether it's moving supplies or donations and stuff. And now we've become her point of where they store everything, or one of the points. It's gotten so.
I mean, for donations.
Yeah.
The firehouse is like my big point.
We'll use our facility in the back, and we'll be able to stage it so she can move it around to where she needs to.
Right.
Charity.
Now, in terms of donations, what do you take?
Well, we actually when we called it the food and coat drive. But we took clothing. We had shoes gently. They were gently cleaned by a high school friend's cleaning company, Extreme Clean. He cleaned all the shoes for us for the homeless shelters. We collected over 200 and something bags of clothing.
Right.
And everything we gave it to the Peekskill shop, caring for the homeless Peekskill. We
Right,
gave it to
right.
St. Christopher's Inn. So it was just anything we take. We don't take like stuffed animals and toys like that unless we know single mothers are in need.
Right.
Stuffed animals we find hard to.
But it's new clothing or used clothing?
No, it's
or
it's a
Obviously
combination.
new, I guess it would be.
No,
is it
actually, no, it's a
preferred or does it
combination.
rent?
We more so prefer gently used clothes because I prefer to recycle everything and not try to save families the cost of clothing. So, I mean, we've passed on a lot of our clothes, and especially with kids, they're young. They grow out of clothing so fast that it's good to, we're like a circle. Like when one of our friends grows out of clothes, she passes those clothes on, and maybe she knows someone who's in
Now,
need.
you sound typically as one that comes from a big family.
Yeah, it's true. There's 6 kids in my family.
New clothes, what's new
Five
clothes, right?
Right,
There's
yeah.
always
Yeah.
the
Right,
pass-me-down
hand-me-downs,
downs,
yeah.
right?
We've had the hand-me-downs from brother to another.
Yeah.
My sister was lucked out. She was the only girl, so she didn't get the hand-me-downs.
It's
I
no.
was one of 6, but I didn't get my sister's hand-me-downs.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
But no, I don't remember. I don't know what my mother dressed me in when I was too young to remember. But
And then what about, I noticed in the new, you have a newsletter too,
Yes.
Paula?
Samantha designs it.
Yeah, it looks really nice. The newsletter looks great. And it mentions that you're adopting firehouses in
Yes.
different places.
Well, someone reached out to me on Facebook, one of my cousin's friends from the island, and said that she knew we did charity work. And we're so coordinated with the fire department, so we figured we'd reach out to the fire department to adopt firehouses.
We, our company was asked by the state to go down to Long Island. We did a week stint down in Long Beach Island.
Right.
And,
Oh, Long Beach, you mean?
well, this was
Prior.
one other prior to this. whole thing.
Oh.
So, which most of that whole eastern coast area from Sandy, Superstorm Sandy got
Right.
devastated.
Right.
Through Paula, and we picked up a couple of donations and stuff and sent it down to Breezy Point,
Right.
and they brought it down. And devastation it's almost like a forgotten area. Nobody
Right.
wants to, nothing's happening there.
Right.
And through Paula and Kenny, and we worked together, and we're basically, my brother Vinny put it together as Adopt a Firehouse. So we've been helping them out with supplies, with needs and stuff as they rebuild
Right.
with the fire department. And
yeah, I'm just trying to get the concept.
Yeah.
You adopt a firehouse in one of these areas.
well, we adopted it as the firefighters are it's a worldwide brotherhood where they'll always help each other.
Right.
All right. And with our own people going down and actually seeing what the devastation was, we were able to, we said, all right, we had firsthand experience. We know what it is. Let's help them out, whatever we can, as we did 9/11 and continued forward to.
Right.
And we have. And we've gone up north to different storms and stuff. And it's something that we've always done, but
Right.
this is a little more closer to home where,
Yep.
and the devastation that occurred was, I've seen just pictures and stuff. I wasn't able to get down to the different trips that they've made.
We made
Three in the
we
past
made
2
3
weeks.
trips in 2 weeks. Where and it's a coalition, so it's
Right.
in Breezy Point where you have the Point Breeze Fire Department, Rockaway, and Roxbury. And Point Breeze was hit the hardest, I would say, because a lot of the men lost their homes. So there's 15 of them staying in one room, and honestly, the firehouse is smaller than this room, and they're on FEMA cots. They have nothing. We brought them thermals, hats and gloves, chainsaws, couches, tons of food. Rocky's Deli stepped in and gave us cases of stuff. Turco's gave us water.
Right.
Millwood Fire Department gave us wedges. So we've been coordinating a lot of.
That's great.
So we're going to probably go down again. I think March 3rd.
The sad thing about it is it's end up in the back of the newspapers.
Yeah.
Right.
it's
Whatever
horrible.
newspapers are out.
Well, we're trying to.
right,
I mean,
right.
we're trying to make some real strong efforts here on the town level to try to change that, and because I think one of the things that I've always been impressed with, being a resident in this town, is the volunteerism and charity that does exist. As for instance, I mean, there seems to be always the same, a lot of the same people everywhere you go. But you, Martin, you've done a lot in different to help with the parade. I know you put up the flag last year when that was. I mean, you always seem to. So there's a great, Yorktown's pretty remarkable in the sense that you have a lot of people that are of like-minded in terms of trying to do something and give back to their community. So it's a kind of a natural. And we're still pushing, and I hope you will join us in this Organizations United, Yorktown Organizations United, to try to strengthen, these volunteer groups. And one of the, I think, the more important aspects of the whole idea behind the Yorktown Organizations United was to give exposure and market and get out the word of what everybody does, because I think that's a really important thing. Just your notion of getting donations. There are a lot of, we started off the show talking about garbage, so I'll segue right into it. But I mean, rather than throwing stuff out and getting it into the waste stream, where it costs you money, literally. I mean, you don't think about it, but the stuff that you throw out costs you money because your tax dollars have to pay for tipping fees to every pound of garbage that gets thrown out. So to the degree that these things can be recycled, it's not only saves you money, but it also is good for all different reasons. I think of a lot of people, they want to know, there are a lot of different organizations that compete for that type of donations, but they all should be out there. You have the midnight runs, which the churches and the synagogues do. And you have, there's some other organizations out there as well in town. Some that just want the rag weight, so even if it's unusable clothes, they'll take it. But it's good to get the word out that you have, and hopefully we'll have your contact information on the screen. But you get the word out that people when they do their spring cleaning, or as the year goes on, to put aside in their own homes, clothing that can be donated rather than thrown out, and have various options of where they want to give it to.
And I think it's very important to have the different options. I want to just give Morton one thing, though, back with the firehouse. I'm sorry, but this was given to you by the Chief Marty Ingram from the Point Breeze Fire Department. It's a Superstorm Sandy shirt. I brought this for you.
Neat. Oh, wow. That's cool.
And I brought you guys gifts, too, for my walkathon, so I
thank
didn't feel bad not giving you something. Just pick whatever color you want. But I wanted to make sure you got that.
All right, appreciate it. Thank
Nice,
you.
yeah, very nice.
But it's very important what you were saying about reusing stuff, and we believe in that strongly. I get emails constantly from people. Someone told me they have the South Salem PTA. A mother reached out to me yesterday saying they want to give us money for Point Breeze, whatever they need money with their PTA money. They have a refrigerator for me. Someone told Kenny they possibly have a stove. We get emails like every day. Someone told me they had 10 bags of clothing for us.
Right.
So our Facebook and our website's a good way to contact us.
Right.
But we get a lot to recycle. And your United thing I felt was a very interesting concept, because it basically is like the Chamber of Commerce of charities.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's
and
exactly
That's basically what it is.
Somebody gets it.
Yeah, it's a very interesting
I think you're
concept.
bugging the supervisor's office.
That was actually, that was
but
the
it
message.
is
That's exactly the analogy.
And the idea is that for it's not only for residents. A lot of people that have been in town for a long period of time, or kind of settle in, will search these things out. But for people, it's kind of interesting. It's good for everybody in the town. It's good for your home values, so to speak, because what happens is you've got this whole sense of community here. And when somebody comes in, it's like you have what what really it's always kind of interesting when I get off. I do this a little bit too often, but I go off topic. But
yeah, it's your show.
But you talk about land use and development. And everybody wants to have. Everybody longs for that. This Norman Rockwellian kind of downtown, neighborhood thing where you have the mom and pop stores and everything else. The idea is, what really they're looking for in zoning and planning and physical plant is this idea of a community.
Yeah.
That's really what you look for. You look for the sense of there's a community out there.
Right.
And the way towns have been developed, you have all the big lots here and the residents there and the commercial here. So you never get this. You always got to travel to get the mix that otherwise would exist in great cities that existed and were developed long before zoning and planning and everything else. But everything was a community. Your shopping, worked, and lived in the same community and tightly. But the idea is that so you have to figure out other ways of creating that. And the networking and having these umbrella organizations that say, hey, look, you have any passion. Doesn't make any difference what it is, whether it's being a mechanic, being a carpenter, being a tradesman, or the arts, or whatever there's a charity, there's an organization that can fit your passion. And each one of these organizations are not-for-profit, volunteer, that are looking to give back to the community. So any talent that you want, or anything that you may want to do in life, if you want to be a police officer, there's auxiliary police. If you're thinking maybe I'd like to be a fireman, there's a volunteer fireman. If you want to be go into the medical profession, there's a volunteer ambulance corps. You want to go into arts, there's certain, and so there's all sorts of places where anybody can exercise their passion and give back to the community at the same time. But it's what the most difficult thing for people to do is to find where they are, and who do they contact, and how they exist. So it's the thing is that and a lot of these organizations are the are created by in memoriam of someone, and yours,
Yeah,
right,
right,
as
yeah,
well
right,
as
right, yeah, exactly.
And the thing is the idea is to keep it alive, and you don't,
Right.
you really want. It's not just you want to keep the memory of your brother Vinny alive longer than you'll be around to necessarily
Right,
do it
that's right.
You want to
yourself.
have a
Legacy.
legacy.
It's a legacy.
I tell my nieces, I'm like, anything happens to Aunt Paula, you're taking this forward, or everybody. I want to make sure, I said, you want to make sure that now we know it will go forward, whether
Oh,
it's with
absolutely,
anybody.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so the idea is that's where this kind of chamber of charities, so to speak, will also
Yeah.
and hopefully because there's like-minded people that just don't don't know that you exist, and so
Right.
it's
No, but I'll tell you, Paul, you've done a great job in a very
Thank
short
you.
period.
Thank
I mean, and even to somebody like me, you're an inspiration. You
Oh,
really
no,
are.
thank you so much.
I've really
Thank you.
been admiring what you do.
No,
it's-
thank you.
Yeah, it's really
yeah,
great.
and the other great thing about it too is somebody like you that has the energy and the passion.
Yeah.
And also you also have the whole list of the other organizations. You can say, hey, wait a second, I can bring, your passion doesn't necessarily end with your brother Vinny, but your organization, but with other organizations
yeah.
as well.
We get a lot of support, like Christine Georgia for the Girl Scouts, they help us.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
even like the Grange Fair, they've helped us collect PJs, like
Right.
Jane from Relay, she helped us with PJs. We're very coordinated, we all help each other.
Right.
That's the
So-
one thing good about
Yeah, we've
my
been
brother
very-
Vinny is it actually works with a whole lot of other charity organizations. We had,
Right.
in fact, a lot of the foods or desserts that went down to Point Breezy this past Saturday was from they had a dance over at the high school.
Right. Oh, that's
And
right. Yeah.
All these unopened
Swing
dessert-
band.
swing
Yeah,
dance,
right,
yes,
right,
swing
yeah,
dance.
right.
And they knocked on the firehouse door and they says, listen, we know you guys want it. You're collecting for food and for Point Breezy. Would you like to take all these unused
Yeah.
or unopened desserts? I mean, there was like 4 or 5 boxes of different desserts. That
There was a lot, there was brownies,
It
everything.
works.
And the other thing, the other aspect of it is that I think it's really important. Every organization such as yours always strives for the donations and the generosity of other people. You can't, so I think it's equally important that any, you mentioned Turco's or Rocky's Deli that gave to go to Point
Right,
Breezy.
the businesses, yeah.
FD, right? So the thing is, they may do it completely altruistically without any notion of creating goodwill. And quite frankly, I guess what good does for their businesses here in Yorktown is it to create goodwill in Breezy Point, where nobody from Breezy Point is going to say, Rocky's Deli, or Turco's up in Yorktown gave
Right.
food, so I'm going to go up and patronize them. But the bottom line is, I think it's very important to encourage businesses,
Yeah.
that to give by giving them exposure as those businesses that do give.
Right.
So in that respect, having this clearinghouse, it will also highlight the fact that,
Right.
that these businesses are very generous. And as far as I'm concerned, for my own selfish purposes as town supervisor, I always want to change this attitude
Yeah.
that, businesses is us against them
Right,
type of thing.
right.
When it's not.
Right.
Businesses are, they are what we rely on, not just to buy our goods and services, but they're the major, charitable donors.
Right.
That's everybody goes to.
Right.
So, you have,
absolutely.
right, and so you have to, you want to promote them, you want to market them, you want to recognize them, whether they like to be recognized or not for their
Right.
charity, because that's an important aspect of the community.
It's more like us is them.
Yeah, but I always,
all the same,
you
right?
always have this, when somebody wants to come in and do something and develop something, and it's the developer, and
Right.
you put up your guard, and it's our town, and how dare you want to come in here and do what? Wait a second.
Right.
It's not us versus them. This is all part of the fabric of the community. So.
Well, it's very important, you're absolutely right. And I think with your idea for the charity thing, I think if
Yeah.
you do sell it as the charity chamber of commerce, I think a lot more groups would join. I think
Yeah.
as long as people understand that concept, because it is like a chamber of commerce. Maybe we'll have a nice charity book where we can also look through all our
Yeah.
charities, like a program.
Well, the idea is to do that, and also.
Getting put on the
My brother
board.
Vinny logo right there.
But what we're trying to do is, we're trying to create it as a clearinghouse, as a chamber, and also as an ability, have to also have a foundation where it will solicit, hopefully, also donations to these charities, financial donations as well, because because some businesses or some larger organizations, of big, national chains,
Right.
they don't necessarily, they don't have the same motivation to give on a local level as your mom and pop guy does.
Except Pepsi. Pepsi gave us Propel.
Yeah.
They saw me in the supermarket shopping, and the guy's like, wow, you love Propel, you drink a lot. It turned out he was the vice president of Pepsi.
Oh.
And he saw that I had my whole cart filled with it. And he gives me now to my walkathon, and he gives to my other thing every year.
The Pepsi's very good about
They call me
that.
the queen of Propel.
That's exactly what you want. The idea is that they have, because these national brands and national chains are looking to get involved on a
Right,
very
absolutely.
hyper-local level.
Yeah.
So, but it's very difficult for them to find out. They
Unless they see me with a
literally
shopping
stumbled-
cart with 40 bottles of Propel in it.
Right.
I'll have to try that.
They stumbled, literally bumped
Right.
into you in the aisle.
Right.
Yeah.
But it would be nice for them to be able to say, hey, look, I want to, what's going on in town? I got this, and
Right.
let's start to give. So, and the thing is, I think it makes all these organizations more viable, which is better for everybody. Again, so I think it's constantly, it becomes a win-win situation. But
It's exciting.
Yeah. But you know what occurs to me? Like, it's really appropriate we have a fire official sitting here, because what I've been thinking about is all of the concept of volunteerism in a community harks back to that sort of seminal image of a bucket brigade, right? The way people used to put out fires,
Right,
where
right,
the
right.
the
Ben
townspeople
Franklin
get
days.
together, get in a line, and they'd pass the bucket. I mean, that's sort of like the original metaphor for
And barn
volunteering
raising.
and pulling together.
Right,
to-
right.
Barn raising.
Barn raising, too.
So you're the bucket brigade, we're the barn raisers.
But the thing, and
The logo.
a lot of the, people talk about the breakdown of family, breakdown of community, but a lot of it is because we've, unfortunately, we've kind of we've bureaucratized charity.
Right.
It's what we do is we pay our taxes, and then the government takes it and turns it out to whatever they decide is this social need, and so we've created this wall between there isn't this face-to-face charity anymore, and you're not even having compelled to do it because
Social media. You have social media, right.
I give it to the government. The government it's the social programs, and that's it. What more do you want from me? And the thing is, it doesn't personalize the charity, which is
Right.
both a gift to the giver and the receiver.
Right.
You're talking about that, and one step at a time, and one changing of one person's mind at a time is important. With my brother Vinny, we actually incorporated working with taking the younger guys, which is the junior corps,
Yeah.
have now, well, they came up and stepped up to the plate and are always there to help with any of the projects that are put in front of them from my brother Vinny. For the reason is, one, it gives them the community service for their schools. It also gives them contact with, and the whole idea of that volunteerism in the younger person.
Yep.
And hopefully it continues to carry forward.
Right, in their adult
I
life.
mean,
They were the junior corps. Thank you. Actually, I was hoping we would get back to the fire department again because the junior corps have been an amazing asset.
Yeah.
I mean, if they are the future of the fire department, the town is in very good hands. And
yeah.
make sure you donate to the fire department also because they're amazing. And the junior corps, Morton
Well,
contacts
we
them.
have, yeah.
They coordinate
McGannon
all our.
to thank for that.
Yeah, they're amazing. I mean, they coordinate. Like when we have hundreds of bags of clothing coming in, they set up the tables for us. They move stuff from one storage unit because
Yeah.
East Coast Auto Storage gave me a storage unit for a little while, like a pod, because it was getting out of hand with all the food and trying to keep it separate. And the junior corps, they love helping.
Yeah,
And they're always
that's
like,
great.
no problem, Paul, anything you need. And it's amazing to me. So our fire department's in main hands.
And besides, they could look at
Many
all
years.
those antique cars over at East Coast. Sort of
Yeah. No, but they're
Somebody's cars are
amazing.
very expensive sports cars.
And for the walkathon, the junior corps will help this year. And yeah.
no, they've actually
Amazing.
really
Yeah,
stepped
that's
up
great.
and surprising. I'm proud of that they
Yeah.
were able to do that.
Yeah. So maybe we can wrap it up, Paula, by, I know you have some interesting events coming up that you should tell everybody about.
Yes, we have my brother Vinny Dance for Gold.
Right, that's in March. Yeah.
Samantha does Zumba, and she's going to be doing
Oh, okay.
Zumba. The Yorktown Elks Club actually is another organization that has helped us hand in hand with everything. The Elks Club, and we're going to be utilizing their facility. We're going to have Zumba from 10 to 12, light lunch, and then we're going to have someone's going to be there the whole time with Party Gold Boutique, where you can bring your broken pieces of gold, silver,
Oh, yeah,
platinum, and they'll be on hand to pay you on the spot for that. And then also they have some boutique items that we'll be selling, like I guess reasonably priced boutique items. And also we have my brother's walkathon, the Vincent Miritello Special Olympics New York walkathon, April 28th at FDR in Yorktown.
Deer Park, right, yeah.
But you can look on Facebook, and Facebook's a big spot for up-to-the-minute stuff we do.
And they just search for My Brother Vinny.
My
on
Brother
Facebook,
Vinny.
yeah.
And we have the website, mybrothervinny.org.
Okay.
But every day we're doing something different.
What works better for you, the website or the Facebook?
The website actually is donated from a school in Kentucky. That's also how grassroots we are. I sold something on eBay for another charity, and the person I sold it from told me he does a website program at Harlan, Kentucky. And he had this kids in his school program do my website for free.
Wow.
Which would actually be a good idea for Yorktown to do. They take nonprofits and they organize their websites.
Right.
And they do it for free as a community
we'll have
service.
to talk to you afterwards about that.
And actually, they're doing my website, and we're getting publicity now in Kentucky. They're writing a story about us.
Really?
And we're the one that they said they like the best. And I'm on TV saying this now because they know they loved it.
So it's off to the races.
Yeah, so the website's beautiful.
Yeah.
But we do something like we have to have someone on the website 24/7 because we're always doing something new.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's
But I say, as far as generating traffic, as far as getting yourself out there, is the website or the?
Facebook's very, very active.
Yeah, and you're very active on Facebook.
Very, very active. Facebook's
Yeah.
very, very active. And
Yeah.
we do stuff also with animals. So my cousin
Right.
Maria is like our animal advocacy person.
Right.
At one point, we're going to get to the point where we're going to start pulling dogs out of kill shelters and putting them in like fosters.
Oh.
So we do dog rescue stuff.
Oh, nice.
So
Yeah,
Maria is
that's
solely animal advocacy.
Right.
And then we have another friend, Erica, who's with the children. She does our community service. And then we've also partnered with Jamboree. And Sean, we're going to have a program coming up called Playtime with a Purpose.
Right.
Where we're going to have kids going to Jamboree, and we're going to do arts and crafts for free. We're going to give them that program, and they bring in dog toys and dog food, and that's starting.
You don't have enough energy for her.
We have a lot
can
going
tell.
on.
You
So
don't.
go on to Facebook, and I'll tell everybody everything. It's a
Unbelievable.
lot.
That's great. No, that's what we need.
And Sean's been wonderful.
There's 100 people like you.
Thank God for Kenny.
We want to thank, for being on Grace Notes, Paula Miritello.
Thank you.
The founder and head of My Brother Vinny, and of
And
course...
just a whole lot of other
And
things.
apparently so. I think the longer we sit here, the more things she takes on. I don't know.
And you nated.
No, really, you are. You're a great role model for the
Thank
community.
you.
You really are.
Thank you so
And
much.
of course, again, Fire Commissioner and past Fire Chief Marty McGannon, who always steps up to put out fires of all kinds. Right?
Yes.
It's good to see people on a non-emergency.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I can imagine. Right, from your experience. Yeah. So, and any final words, Supervisor?
No, it's been great. I really appreciate you coming by. I think this is the kind of thing that I think needs exposure out there. Is, just the kind of things that you do, and it's really important because I think I think it's on all different levels. Create the sense of community. I mean, make this is what we're trying to do is really make Yorktown, the complete package, a really desirable place to be, which is both, good living, good commercial, good people, good, the whole 9 yards. And I think it's all very, very important aspect of it. And I'm going to tell you, it's just, I think you'd be very, and it's kind of remarkable because I think Yorktown is extremely unique in this regard, and because I don't think there are a lot of communities out there that have the same type of spirit in terms of all the different organizations that are out there, and I think you would really, really be hard pressed to find it anywhere else. And it's just whether the stores have all lined up here or whatever it's been. If maybe it's in the water, so let Dave to know, keep on fluoride, put the fluoride in it, but whatever it is, but it really is. It's and I think it's one of the great resources that this town has. So you have to. This is why this stuff is important, and you have to constantly get it out there, get it on the forefront, So I really appreciate you coming by and appreciate all the work you do out there and. It's marvelous, and I'm in awe. So,
Thank you so much. Honestly, I feel so honored even to be asked to come here.
Of course.
Anytime.
I was so happy. It was a big honor. Thank you.
And remember, you're going to take us viral, Paul.
No, I can't wait to start posting this on YouTube.
I'm going to hold you to that, by the way.
This is going to be the most watched show. I'm going to post it everywhere.
Right. So American Idol, watch out.
Yes.
Anyhow, on behalf of Town of
Thank
Yorktown
you.
Supervisor Michael Grace, this is Bruce A. Parr of Chase Media Group saying thank you for watching Grace Notes, and be sure to watch us next time and every time because Yorktown is your town. Thank you.